Tonight, charges laid in a fatal highway crash on Veterans Memorial Highway. And we connect with a Newfoundland family in Florida. Those stories and...
It is often years in the making from announcement to the actual sort of opening of a housing project. We don't have the luxury of time.
Tearing down the taxation center. Advocates wonder when it will happen and who will be in charge of the build.
After over 20 years of business, a popular pizza place downtown St. John's is closing its doors.
COVID kind of changed the world of restaurants.
But the most significant factor was the pedestrian mall.
I'm Maddie Ryan, and I'll have that story coming up.
It really is beautiful fall in Corner Brook. But did you notice that the leaves changed color a little bit later this year? Well, one expert in forest ecology says that may have to do with climate change. I'll break it all down for you and tell you what it might mean for people living here.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Jeremy Eaton filling in for Carolyn Stokes. A Pooch Cove man is facing charges after a fatal collision on the Veterans Memorial Highway. The RCMP say 27-year-old Jonathan Patton is charged with impaired driving causing death. Now, Patton was allegedly using drugs when the GMC truck he was driving crashed head-on into a Subaru in mid-March. The driver, a 25-year-old man from Tilton, died at the scene. Patton's license has been suspended. His next court appearance is in December. Well, just in time for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. There's a new phone scam making the rounds on the Northeast Avalon. The RNC is calling it a cell phone brushing scam. Residents receive a call from someone posing as a telecommunications worker, advising that they're going to be sent a new cell phone in the mail. And here's the thing, a cell phone does arrive, even if you decline. People are then billed for the cost of the phone through their provider. The RNC is looking for your help. It wants anyone who was targeted to obtain the package's tracking number as well as the return address, and then forward that information to police. As we reported earlier this week, the taxation center in St. John's will be transformed into some much-needed housing. But some are stressing it won't happen overnight. Here and Now's Mark Quinn has this update.
The federal government has announced that more of its land will now be available to develop affordable housing. But people who advocate for affordable housing say the announcement is short on details and they have many questions.
Yeah, I mean, unlocking land for housing, and especially affordable housing, is critically important, especially in established cities where land is not always easily available. So it's a great first step. I guess the real question for everybody is what are the details around affordability and how that will be ensured as part of the process.
There are always a bunch of questions that follow an announcement like this in terms of how quickly, what level of coordination will happen among levels of government, in terms of facilitating an actual crisis response to the housing crisis that we're in.
Here in Pleasantville, federal land was freed up to build affordable housing. It cost millions of dollars in federal and provincial money and cooperation from the city. The federal government says that about 100 affordable housing units were ultimately built here, but it took a long time.
It is often years in the making from announcement to the actual sort of opening of a housing project. And at the particular juncture that we are in right now, we don't have the luxury of time. So these need to be really urgent responses, and the procedures don't always follow that.
Now the federal government is freeing up this land on Empire Avenue where the federal taxation center now sits. The federal government hopes up to 100 affordable housing units will be built here as well. Here's what Hope Jameson would like to see.
I would love to see a coordinated effort across levels of government to grant that piece of land through a transparent process to a community organization with expertise in affordable housing, to coordinate both capital and operating funding to build that housing, and then to ensure long-term affordability by keeping that in the community.
Exactly what the housing that will go here will look like and who will get it hasn't been decided yet. Jean-Yves Duclos, the federal minister responsible for this project, says Ottawa plans to build 250,000 new affordable housing units across the country by 2031. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
We're still waiting for physician assistants to start working in the province. Almost a year ago, government announced a pilot project to bring 10 PAs into hospital. The idea was to cut down on the workload facing doctors, but the project still hasn't started. Kathleen Abreu says she wants to work in Newfoundland. She volunteers with the Canadian Association of Physician Assistants.
There has been a bit of a timeline shift. I think there was a bit of a setback when the regional health authorities amalgamated last year. But we have ongoing discussions with the government, and they're still in the recruitment phase. But we're very excited and optimistic about kind of the positivity and reassurance and kind of the next steps that the government's hoping to take. So as we kind of work through that recruitment phase, I think we're going to see lots of positive change across Newfoundland and Labrador.
A longtime restaurant in downtown St. John's says the pandemic, construction, and the pedestrian mall have delivered blow after financial blow. As our Maddie Ryan reports, Pie Gourmet Pizza is closing shop later this week.
For many pizza lovers in St. John's, this restaurant has been a cornerstone. But after over 20 years of business, they're being forced to close their doors.
Due to a lot of things, especially COVID. COVID kind of changed the world of restaurants, and just financial. It's hard to keep everything going. The cost of food, cost of everything really.
But the most significant factor was the pedestrian mall. There were a group of us got together on Duckworth Street after the pedestrian mall's first year, and we verified to the city that business dropped by 30%, and that mirrored the number here as well. And when you drop your numbers by 30%, you can't reduce your overhead by 30% in a small operation because you need a core group of staff. So that was really something that was a big precipitating factor, and we never really recovered from. And in 2023 it was Get Stuffed. They closed. They cited some of the same reasons we've cited, and now 2024 it's Pie. So the question is, who will it be in 2025? And it's the city that decided to change the competitive landscape by subsidizing the chosen few that are within the geographic boundaries of the pedestrian mall.
My main focus right now is just to make all of my loyal customers and loyal staff in the past and present happy and just enjoy the week, and then then start a new plan. Obviously, I'm going to take a little bit of time off. Owning a restaurant is one thing, but owning it for 20 years, it's almost like a whole lifetime of work anyway. So I'm just going to take it easy for a little bit, and then new chapters will come.
And it's ironic that this will be probably among the busiest weeks in the restaurant.
Yeah, which is weird, My friend said, you should just say you're closed every day. So many people have fell in love here. People have gotten married here. Stuart McLean loved this place. He talked about me on many podcasts. Even his sister came this past summer and said, I have to eat here. My brother loved this place so much. Anthony Bourdain ate here 5 times. Serves the best pizza in town, Anthony Bourdain. It's kind of an old school oven. It's not like extremely hard.
Yeah, we had a tough day last Tuesday. Yeah, and we've had tough times since then, but we're just going to move on now and move on to the next chapter. As they say, you close one page, open up another. And while you have your camera focused right there, you can see Megan O'Day, non-traditional division, International Pizza in Las Vegas. She won first prize, so obviously she has a tremendous product, so it's going to be missed by the community.
So many memories, so many loyal people. It's just crazy. People like this place as well because it's my home and it's my love, and I treat everybody with respect, and there's no, people are like, I wouldn't be who I am without you and stuff like that. So many messages lately. It's overwhelming.
To the West Coast now. There is one upside to the days getting a little shorter and a little colder. Vibrant autumn colors are on full display. But Here and Now's Colleen Connors has more on how a warming climate could mean later leaves.
Is there anything more stunning than these West Coast colors? Now, you may have noticed that this fall feeling came a little bit later this season. One expert says that has to do with climate change. Now, I'm going to tell you all about that and how it may be impacting the tourism industry here on the West Coast. Red, yellow, oranges, views bursting with color. Changes in temperature and daylight trigger the change, but warmer weather means a longer growing season for trees and a later fall. Loic Dorangeville studies forest ecology. He's been studying different species of trees and leaf patterns, recording it all year after year.
We do have some data, and it does suggest that we have a later leaf fall every year, but it's not as over decades, it's not such a strong signal.
Now, the delay could be a few days, even a week. A subtle shift that could have a major impact on Corner Brook's growing cruise ship market. It's a big moneymaker. We've already seen more than 30 ships this season. And thousands of those passengers, well, they time their trips around the leaves.
So, of course, the whole Canada-New England region is known for its fall colors. So we work with an alliance called CC&E, and our job is to market our region for the fall. So cruise lines tend to know us as the fall of the year. They expect the colors, they expect the cooler temperatures for people traveling from warmer places. It's what we're known for, and we love that. But of course, we are looking to expand in the future and promote ourselves more as a summer destination as well.
6 more ships are due to dock this month, 1 in November. Now, Dorangeville says later fall leaves isn't cause for climate concern just yet, but there are bigger repercussions.
But as the season extends, you know, those drier July and August month, they usually are kind of canceled by the September cool temperatures. Precipitation come back and there's less, you know, evaporation, and so the water storage gets restored. But then if the season extends, you might get more of these late summer droughts. So that might be a negative impact in the long term.
Though not a huge concern here in Newfoundland and Labrador. As for that cruise ship schedule, well, they may have to pull into port a little bit later if the tourists want to catch those colors. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Staying with climate, ExxonMobil Canada is making a donation to climate change. The oil and natural gas company wants to contribute to educational programming centered on renewable energy. It's cutting a check to the College of the North Atlantic. The college says this is the largest check it's ever received.
I am so incredibly excited to stand here today to announce Hebron's contribution of $10 million over the next 5 years.
My name is Carrie Moreland, President of ExxonMobil Canada. Well, we are here because we, as ExxonMobil and operator of the Hebron project, partnered with the College of the North Atlantic to make a contribution for $10 million over the next 5 years to invest in their climate and sustainability programming.
My name is Liz Kidd, and I'm the President and CEO of College of the North Atlantic. This is a huge impact. $10 million can actually buy a lot of programming, and that's really where we're going to be focusing in on, is adding programming in the areas of sustainable development. As we launched our hydrogen technician and our wind turbine technician programs last September, and now we're looking at offering new programs that to meet industry needs and move forward. And it's also going to look at how we educate our youth on sustainability, because if we don't touch base with our youth and get them to understand what it means to be, you know, focused on climate change and on what their role is, that really is the key here today. And everybody thinks it's based on, well, it's the government's responsibility, or it's, you know, this higher power that's responsible for making sure that we don't have climate change. But it's actually our responsibility. Each individual person has a responsibility to make sure that we're doing all of those little things to make a difference.
It's a really big day for ExxonMobil as operator of the Hebron project. It's a big day for the College of the North Atlantic. You know, what I would tell you is empowering youth, investing in education, you know, really allows our students, our faculty to push beyond what they thought was even possible, to really think of creative solutions to tackle the challenges of today and tomorrow. And I really think be future leaders here in our province.
over the weekend, the Memorial University Seahawks women's soccer squad picked up 2 big wins over the University of Moncton. The team was led by forward Zoe Rowe from Conception Bay South, who scored 3 goals and had 2 assists in the 5-0 win on Friday. On Saturday evening, she added 2 more goals to lead the Seahawks to a 3-1 win. Rowe now sits tied for second in league scoring with 9 goals and 3 assists. The women's and men's team are both back in action on October 18th at King George V.
So many reasons as to why we do this. We are trained to provide information that radar cannot see, satellite cannot see, and down the line in front of these storms that's going to help better predict these storms as they move on shore.
We saw the storm chasers in action last night, flying straight towards Hurricane Milton. Tonight, they're on the ground in Florida.
Yeah, hours away from seeing that move on shore, but we do have some rain in our neck of the woods as well. That's going to continue as we head through tonight. I'll break down the full forecast for you coming up.
Hi, I'm Adam Walsh, host and producer of The Signal. There's a lot of talk right now about crime in communities, and that's what we're talking about tomorrow. We will hear from municipal leaders about what they're seeing and hearing. We'll talk about how to protect the most vulnerable in our communities and a look at the path forward. Now, here's a question for you tomorrow. What's the reality in your community? Get in touch. 12:05 on the island, half an hour earlier than most of Labrador.
Well, we shared this video with you yesterday. One of the hurricane hunters aboard the NOAA Aircraft Operations Center flying into Milton while most people are fleeing from it. News Network's Heather Hescox caught up with Logan Parham earlier today in Venice.
So for now, this is what I call my target area. So I do believe that within 30 miles or so of where I'm currently located is where the center point of Milton will come ashore. So I'll basically adjust north or south depending. We're in kind of what we call the nowcast phase. So we're just watching the radar and watching every little wobble that the storm makes on its journey to us.
So you will move accordingly to be in the eye or to be in the bands, to be in the wall? Where do you want to be, Logan, to do your work?
Yes, so usually you want to penetrate what we call the eye walls and then end up in that eye. We're going to be taking, we're going to be taking some pressure data, sampling those mesovortices, which are essentially like little tornadoes that rotate about the eye, in the eye wall. Very important pressure data from that, and then also sampling the actual eye of the hurricane.
And then to whom do you provide that data, and why is that kind of information important? What purpose does it serve?
So a lot of times after the storm, we like to send our data to the National Hurricane Center. This reinforces basically what the landfall intensity was. They can use it in research papers for years to come. It's really important just because every storm is different. So if we have ground level measurements, a lot of times if you place instrumentation out in front of these storms, they fail before the peak of the storm arrives. So with our measurements, it ends up being very valuable to science in the future, basically just showing every storm is different and making sure we have a clean data set and sampling every storm.
That's wild.
It is, yeah.
It's like real life Twisters, like Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton there, except they're in an airplane and not in the pickup truck.
Yeah,
Anyways,
for sure.
I guess you're watching Milton, hey, Ashley?
I certainly am. Incredible situation unfolding in Florida today. Let's take a look at what's going on. So not only do we have the hurricane moving onshore, but out ahead of that, there are significant tornadoes happening. At one point today, I saw 18 simultaneous tornado warnings, and it is just going to continue. So this is a look at Milton now. The eye is gone now, but it is still a very dangerous hurricane. Category 3 hurricane with winds topping out there at, I can't even read that, 205 kilometers per hour. And like I said, we are about hours away from seeing that make landfall there. Still predicting the landfall to be somewhere between Tampa and Fort Myers. With that bringing significant storm surge and strong winds with it, it is going to go across Florida as a Category 1 hurricane and continue on the other side of it. So taking a look at what's happening with that storm surge, as I mentioned, we've been talking about this all week, upwards of 4 meters of storm surge possible where we see that eye wall move onshore. Now, already, this is some of the storm surge already moving in. This is from the Naples area, already seeing some minor flooding, but the system is moving very quickly, so it is going to bring that wall of water very quickly with it. So we're already starting to see that move in, but as this continues to track in, we will see that move in very quickly. So here's a look at the current satellite and radar. You can see the eye of that hurricane there, and this is where where I have those lines there, is where we'll see the majority of the storm surge. So that will move in as the hurricane continues to move onshore as well. Lots of rain bands and even those tornadoes. They're all out ahead of the system, out ahead of Milton and heading towards the western portion, the eastern portion of Florida. So not only are we seeing the strong winds, the incredible rainfall, but now dealing with the tornado situation as well. Here, a little closer to home, we are also dealing with some rain, some of it fairly heavy. We did see a rainfall warning earlier today for Burgeo, and those rain bands are starting to push further north. So we're going to continue to see that over the next couple of hours. Eventually, well, we're starting to see it on the southwestern portion of the Avalon, but all of the Avalon will see those showers as we head through tonight. As you can see here, some of those heavier embedded showers certainly around the Springdale area, heading towards Gander, and even now developing just over the Burin Peninsula and heading north. So, like I said, we're going to continue to see that tonight. Some of these bands definitely heavy and really doing a great job on that for the Avalon as well, picking up on those heavier showers. Earlier today, some colder air in play across Labrador, at least Lab West, and the potential for some few flurries in the mix there as well through the overnight tonight. Temperatures are going to stay in the single digits for most up across Labrador. Same thing across the island, except St. John's will sit around 11 degrees through the day. The winds will be a bit brisk. Southwesterlies tonight will be somewhere between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. And as we head into tomorrow, we're going to watch that heavy rain there just off the coast of the Avalon. There is a potential we could get into that. This model run now pulling it a little bit further offshore, but still can expect the potential for some showers tomorrow and some periods of rain. Again, it will ultimately depend on how close that gets. The afternoon should feature some sunshine through areas like central, the west coast, northern peninsula, but we will see that rain move right back in tomorrow evening, especially for the southwest. And again, another chilly day expected across Labrador. We start to see those that snow potential move in. Again, the best chance of that, though, will be through the evening hours, and that will continue as we head into early Friday. Even northern portions of Labrador getting into that potential as well. Now, it doesn't look like it'll accumulate, but you can still see that in the mix. So tomorrow, expect winds to be a bit brisk in the morning again for the east. They'll be around 40 to 50 kilometers per hour, maybe a little higher than that. Overall, daytime highs will be sitting between 13 to 14 degrees through the day. Up across Labrador, temperatures cool, especially west and north, anywhere from 5 to 7 or even 9 degrees. A little warmer, though, for those of you through central Labrador and then towards southeastern portions. Your temperatures still sitting between 10 to 12 degrees. For you, the chance of showers and also some winds. They'll pick up a little later with northeasterlies gusting between 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. I'll have the long range coming up a little later.
As soon as we got the notification on my phone from the Delta Airlines app that the flight was canceled, that's kind of when my heart sunk and reality kind of sunk in.
Another Newfoundland family is stranded in the middle of Hurricane Milton. We head to Florida as the state braces for impact.
I love those old pictures like this.
A lot of history here.
Everybody looks like they were, just posing for the pictures, eh?
These are people who made me who I am.
Somebody's got to tell the stories.
People from this province who picked Florida as a destination are not getting the laid-back vacation they had hoped for. Hurricane Milton is taking aim at Florida's west coast. Landfall is expected late tonight, possibly as a Category 3 or 4 hurricane, and experts are bracing for a catastrophic impact. Now, John Hart, who is originally from St. John's, is visiting the Orlando area with his wife and daughter. John, thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
First of all, how are you and the family doing, bud?
We're doing okay. We have power. So the wife and the daughter are kind of doing Netflix right now, so just kind of hunkering down.
John, where are you right now? Where are we chatting to you from?
So I'm in the Orlando, Orange County area at the moment.
What are you hearing, or what sort of things are people saying to you in that area, John?
So what we've been hearing from local authorities is essentially now it's best just to stock up on supplies like your water, some food, batteries, that sort of thing, prepare for power outages, potential storm damage, and localized flooding.
So have you been able to get out around and get all that shopping done already?
After this interview, I'm going to have to go out and get some more things. Luckily, there's a supermarket not far from where I am, but yesterday we were out attempting to get more water at a Walmart nearby, and it was bedlam, to say the least.
So yeah, just describe it. What was that experience like? Bare shelves, or what sort of things were you seeing?
Yeah, so it kind of harkens back to COVID. When we entered the store, it was ransacked, and people were stocking up on dry goods and toilet paper, paper towels, batteries, flashlights, water. As soon as they would bring out a pallet, people would just attack it, and we never got a chance to even get near the crowd.
So just remind us, when did you land in Florida, and when were you expected to fly back to St. John's?
Yeah, so we had a mini vacation booked, and we were planning on being here just for 3 or 4 days. We knew the previous hurricane was traveled out, so we were like, hey, that's great. We'll get in, get a day at Disney in, and have our quick vacation and get home. But we were supposed to leave actually this morning. We would have been on the flight right now, actually back to Toronto, then on back to St. John's. But we got notice, I guess it was very early Tuesday, that our flight was canceled for Air Canada, and they were going to attempt to rebook us. Never heard back, so I reached out to their representatives on their call center. A wonderful lady attempted to get us onto an escape flight that was leaving today as well through Delta Airlines, but through New York. But then shortly after that was confirmed, we got our tickets. Delta canceled all their flights as well, so we're kind of stranded at the moment.
How devastating was it to think that you might be getting out of there? Because I saw the post that you made on Facebook on Tuesday, but how did that feel, I guess, knowing that there was a chance that you could have got out and then that sort of was taken away from you as well?
Yeah, you get your hopes up, and especially when the Air Canada representative found us the alternate flight with an alternate airline. That was great. She did her due diligence, and we were kind of high and excited to get out and escape this. We obviously have school and work to get back to, but safety takes priority. But as soon as we got the notification on my phone from the Delta Airlines app that the flight was canceled, that's kind of when my heart sunk and reality kind of sunk in.
Do you have any idea how or when you'll get back to Newfoundland and Labrador?
I've attempted to call the airlines, both Delta and Air Canada. They're absolutely busy. Haven't spoke to a representative. At this moment now, there's no idea when I'll be getting back. I would say probably no later than Friday.
Now, I know that you said that your wife and daughter are currently watching Netflix. How are all three of you feeling, given that this mini vacation has now turned into sort of a large nightmare?
Yeah, I mean, they're nervous. My wife being from the Philippines, they're used to their typhoons they have in their area, but and she be living in Canada now for 8 years, and me living in Newfoundland pretty much my entire life. We're used to bad storms, snow, so we get the tail end of hurricanes. But we see this on the TV and the other and news updates from the authorities. This thing is massive, and reality sinks in that this could be something more than just a rainstorm.
John, seeing that, and we've all seen the images of what this Hurricane Milton could look like or would look like when it hits land. What about all of this worries you the most, John?
Of course, being a husband and a father, I'm concerned for my family's safety. That's my top priority. Eventually we're going to get home eventually, but it's just the fact that, it's the uncertainty, I think, that makes everybody most nervous.
Now,
and it's really dark here right now. It's the middle of the day, and we have all the lights on in where we're staying, and you look out the window, it's really dark.
Well, John, from all of us here, we wish you all the best, and hopefully you get home safe and sound for both you, your wife, and your daughter. Thanks so much for your time today, John.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
world of rock music has been caught off guard by a star performer's allegations of sexual abuse. They're in a new book, a memoir by Sum 41 Derek Wilby. The CB's Madga Gabrielasi has the details.
The faster we're falling, we're stopping, stalling, we're running in circles again.
He's rocked out on some of the biggest stages. Now Derek Wilby is shocking the music world, making waves with his new memoir.
There's things in the book that I was like, I thought I would take that to my grave.
The Sum 41 singer alleges he was coerced into a sexual relationship with his former manager, Greg Norrie. But CBC has not independently verified Wilby's allegations. Norrie himself, a big name in the Canadian rock scene, the frontman of Trouble Charger. Wilby writes he was just 16, starting out, when Norrie took him under his wing, introducing him to drugs and alcohol, grooming him, Wilby alleges. Then when he was 18, kissing him in a bathroom stall while Wilby was high on ecstasy. He alleges Norrie forced him to continue a sexual relationship for some time, berating Wilby when he tried to end it. I started to unravel mentally and physically, Wilby writes. Music journalist Karen Bliss says she was in the industry at the time.
There's definitely a power difference with a young artist or any artist and someone in a perceived position of power. Maybe it's up to us as adults in the music industry to go to that young person and say, are you okay?
Greg Norrie has not responded to CBC News' request for comment, but he told the Globe and Mail these are false allegations. He also said he retained a defamation lawyer. Wilby also hasn't spoken with us. His band on their final tour, wrapping up in Toronto in January. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
It's the end of an era in Las Vegas with the demolition of the Tropicana, the last casino linked to Sin City's mob days. The legendary Tropicana went out in true Vegas style early this morning with fireworks as the opening act for the implosion. Built in 1957, the casino and hotel had ties to organized crime through mobster Frank Costello. The Tropicana, renamed the Tropigala for the movie, was also featured as Michael Corleone's casino in The Godfather Part 2. It was demolished to make way for a future baseball stadium for the soon-to-be relocating Oakland Athletics. Staying in the United States, Hurricane Milton is just hours away from making landfall in western Florida. Now, the CBC's Katie Simpson has spent the day near Orlando as residents prepare for the worst.
Now come along with me. We're going to show you what preparations look like. Right now we're in a mobile home park and you can see some of the trailers have been boarded up. This is an area that police tell us is known to be flooded, and so people are taking some precautions. There are some people who've left the area, but we've got wooden planks up on some of the trailers here, and we've got another one just over here, just to give you a sense of what it looks like in some of these neighborhoods where really dangerous conditions are expected to roll through. The most serious effects of this storm are going to be in the Gulf Coast, the Tampa Bay, Sarasota areas. That's where there's life-threatening storm surge, hurricane force winds. There is so much concern. Authorities have warned people that if they did not follow those evacuation orders, if they do need help, help might not be able to get there. They're describing it as a catastrophic situation, and they are concerned that it will be deadly for those that did not follow those evacuation orders. Here in Orlando, when you talk to the people who are either hunkering down or planning on going to shelters, there's a real mix sort of people that we've spoken to today, and you can tell that there is really a sense of unease heading into Milton.
A little nervous. I see all these houses boarded up and we have not done anything because I didn't think it was going to hit Central Florida, as everyone is now saying.
Are you nervous at all?
No, not at all. I've been through enough of them that we'll be okay. I know we're getting 100-mile-an-hour winds, but I think this house can withstand it.
It's my first time. I don't feel afraid. I just, God know what she's doing. You have to go through,
This is expected to be a once-in-a-lifetime type of storm. The hurricane-strength winds, the storm surge. There's also the concern of tornadoes. People are being urged to stay indoors and wait for this storm to pass, and it's expected to be an incredibly difficult 48 hours for the state of Florida. Katie Simpson, CBC News, outside of Orlando, Florida.
Many environmental factors go into a hurricane, but scientists say one of them has been pushing recent storms to new limits, and that's ocean heat. Andy Ram on now what some are calling a marine heat wave.
Milton started as a growl in the Gulf of Mexico, and within 2 days became a terrifying roar, the fastest shift from tropical depression to Category 5 hurricane ever seen there.
2 days later, we were at 180 miles per hour winds. That kind of intensification is just extremely rare, if not unheard of.
It has dropped 50 millibars in 10 hours.
That speed leaving seasoned weather watchers speechless.
I apologize. This is just horrific.
And what's feeding the beast? What fed Hurricane Helene just before it? Record ocean heat. This is the global average sea surface temperatures for roughly the last 30 years. But in 2023 and 2024, every month the heat has surpassed that by a huge margin. And zooming into the Gulf of Mexico, it's more intense. 2024's heat so far, higher than the last decade. And a few degrees matter.
Small differences in temperature, boom, big differences in the amount of water vapor that's getting put into the atmosphere. And that water vapor is really the fuel of the storm.
The other conditions that let Milton rage was a lack of other weather patterns, slower winds, air offering less resistance to the rapidly forming vortex. Watching that build up especially troubling for those in the hurricane's path.
Especially for the area that I grew up in, I feel it's very heavy.
And climate scientists link the warm oceans that supercharged Milton to the planet warming effect from burning fossil fuels.
It traps energy around the planet close to the surface and warms up our air temperatures. But that also contributes to that heat getting eventually down into the ocean.
And as Florida braces for the full might of Milton, researchers with World Weather Attribution are already looking at how much of its scale and ferocity was caused by climate change. That analysis expected within days. Anand Ram, CBC News, Toronto.
There was some history made last night. Jessica Campbell made her debut as the first ever female assistant coach in the NHL. She's behind the bench for the Seattle Kraken as they took on the St. Louis Blues. The 32-year-old from Saskatchewan was named assistant coach in July. Campbell's squad came up short, though, as the Blues beat the Kraken 3-2. When Foster Hewitt first shouted, "He shoots, he scores," catching the action was as simple as turning on the radio. This week, a new NHL season rekindles the old excitement. Peter Armstrong looks at the fast-changing game of hockey broadcasts.
Opening night, a new season, new hope for fans, a fresh start for teams.
Drops one, shot, score!
And this season, it's not just new teams or new plans. It's new ways to watch as well.
It's a new home for hockey. And here we go.
Amazon Prime is now streaming some hockey games after making a deal with Rogers.
Look at Cooley go through the middle of the ice.
It's all part of a rapidly changing broadcast landscape. To watch every NHL game this season, you'll need to subscribe to Sportsnet, TSN, TVA, and Amazon Prime.
I think we're headed for an era of greater complication.
Back in 2013, Rogers Communications bought up the exclusive rights to all nationally broadcast NHL games for $5.2 billion. That deal doesn't expire until the end of next season. But NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman says negotiations will start soon, the beginning of 2025, he told the Sports Business Journal last month, adding that Rogers gets first crack at renegotiating its current deal. And that is something Rogers has said it wants to do.
It's something we're very interested in and something we will chase and certainly expect to be at the table.
Second and goal
Experts say other sports leagues have found ways of spreading out broadcast rights over multiple broadcasters and streamers. That drives up the price and makes it harder for fans to even figure out where the game on any given night is being aired.
If you have 6 people that want your product, then you can figure a creative way to give each of the 6 a slice. You will get more than if you charge one the entire amount of money.
And every year, there are more ways to slice that pie. And though some may bemoan the changes,
I think it's actually going to be easier, and they're trying to move the product to where people are, as opposed to trying to preserve an old model.
It's on Monday.
Whether it's the game or the way we watch it, the old model is long gone. And changes to how we watch the game are only starting as the NHL gets closer to a new deal in 2026. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, actually, it's back to wrap up the weather, but there's really only one story, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Milton.
Milton.
Yes, exactly.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. But we're going to chat about the long-range forecast and what's happening here as we head through the weekend. Let's take a look. So we've got our Thursday evening into Friday. An area of low pressure is going to be affecting most of the island, really, or most of the province, I should say, with some rounds of showers moving through as we head into Friday morning. Northern areas of Labrador and towards western portions of Labrador, we will be seeing some shower activity, and then eventually through the day on Friday, some more showers will move in across the island. So the day will start fairly nice, but it won't end that way. And as far as the temperatures go, sitting generally between 10 to about 13 degrees. Northern Peninsula cooler than that, into the single digits. And again, we start to see some colder air, especially for northern portions of Labrador. Your daytime highs hovering around 6 degrees, but as you head through the night, we may see a few flurries in the mix there as well. Overall, single digits towards the west, but the rest of Labrador will sit around 9 or 10 degrees as your daytime high on Friday. As we head into Saturday, this area of low pressure is still our weather maker. It's going to spin some more showers, the more potential to see some wet snow in the mix as well through Saturday morning, early Saturday morning for western portions of Labrador. Otherwise, as you head towards the coast, some windy conditions, some breezy conditions with some periods of rain in the mix there as well. And across the island, we are going to start to see some of those showers affecting the west coast, really more periods of rain through the day. It is going to be a bit unsettled as we head through the weekend and continue through really some periods of rain continuing through Saturday. So overall, daytime highs in the single digits, otherwise 10 to 12 degrees for the rest of the island. Labrador, you were also sitting in the single digits. Now, daytime highs on Saturday for Lab West only around 3 degrees. So I do think that's the best chance if we're going to see some wet snow will be around then. Otherwise, 6 to 9 degrees for the rest of the big land. Now, long range forecast, cooling down only around 10 degrees. So they're really not moving over the next couple of days. So 10 to 12 degrees, and the chances of some showers in the mix there right through Monday. Now, there's still some peaks of sun there, but overall unsettled. Then for central Newfoundland, rain on Sunday, but clearing out by the time we get into Monday, 10s across the board there. And western Newfoundland, anywhere from 8 to 10 degrees as we head towards the weekend, but it will be unsettled with some rain or showers through the day. Same thing for eastern Labrador, cooling as we get down to Monday. Your overnight lows really cooling down. And then for western Labrador, you'll see some sun in the mix both Sunday and Monday, but it will be unsettled with your daytime highs between 5 and 6 degrees. Our weather photo of the day from Bishop's Falls. A great photo here, the fall colors. We were talking about that earlier. Colleen was showing us the great fall colors there out west. They've been happening, kind of just felt like they all of a sudden were there.
It's like overnight. It's like spring.
That's right. Yeah, Linda shared this great shot with us. And if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, you can do that by sending them to my Facebook page or emailing them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
I'm a big fan of the colors, not a big fan of the raking.
Fair enough. I get that.
That's all I can do.
I know.
But beautiful.
The
Beautiful
fall
falls.
color. There's nothing better, I don't think, than fall colors.
No, and I spent about 5 years in Corner Brook where Colleen was, and I recognized some of those shots, and that place is full of beautiful,
stunning.
Trees.
It is.
It is stunning. But again, that's a lot of raking to do.
Hopefully it lasts a little longer and we don't get that wind that blows them all off before we get to enjoy them.
You know we dies for a win around here, Ashley. Anyway, that's it for us. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.